So the first problem says that Bob starts out for school at 7 a.m. and drives 10 miles for over 20 minutes. Then he stops for 30 minutes at a local restaurant for breakfast, so he spends 30 minutes without moving a mile. Then, since he's afraid to be late at school, he drives faster for another 20 minutes, about 18 miles, so he ends up over here. And then the car breaks down, so he needs to jog the remaining 3 miles to school in 45 minutes. So this is the last point, and here. So in the problem we're asked to find the rate of change for 12 minutes, 27 minutes, and 50 minutes. So if we want to calculate the rate of change, we have to use the same formula for slope, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So to calculate the rate of change, for example, for 12, we need to substitute the values inside the same slope of 12, which are y2 would be 10 minus y1, 0, over x2 would be 20 minus x1, which it will be 0. So we have 10 over 20, giving us a final value of 1/2. Now we want to calculate the value for 27 minutes. The slope for 27 minutes is this one, so we substitute the value that we want to. So we can use for y, we use 10 minus 10, since it's in the same y, all the slope, over 20 minus 50, giving us a result of 0 over minus 30, which is the same as 0. Then finally, if we want to calculate the value for 50, we substitute, and 50 is this point. Now we have 10 minus 7 minus 30. This would be 10, this would be 30, over 50 minus 70, giving us minus 20 over minus. So in the second problem, we're asked to graph the equation of f of x is equal to negative 12 over x squared plus x minus x. So if we want to graph it, we have to determine if, so we can get the value of the horizontal asymptote. We have to see if the numerator is bigger or smaller than the numerator. So in this case, the numerator is smaller, so we have to follow this rule of the numerator being smaller than the denominator. In this case, the horizontal asymptote is equal to 0, being this. Now, if we want to calculate the vertical asymptote, we have to factorize the denominator, this. So we have x plus 3 over times x minus 2, giving us the final values of minus 3 and 2. So if we want to graph the equation, now we know that our horizontal asymptote is equal to 0. This is our horizontal asymptote. And our vertical asymptotes are negative 3 and positive 2. Now if we want to graph the equation, we have to tabulate the values for x. We have to take values from all sides of the equation. Now we can take, for example, the minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, the 3, and the 4. Now we substitute those values on the same equation that we had previously, being this one. So once we have the values, we'll get the same values for y, and we know how to graph it.
So on the third problem, we have minus 3x2 plus 12x divided by x to the square minus 5x plus 4. Okay, firstly we have to get the asymptotes. So to get the horizontal asymptote, you have to factorize the numerator and then denominator, and then you have to cancel the common factors, and then you the x minus 4 and the other x minus 4 will be cancelled. So now you have to divide the minus 3x by x minus 1. So um, the result will be the result of the asymptote will be minus 3. Now you have to get the vertical asymptote. You have to use the denominator. Since the x minus 4 was cancelled, there will be a whole of 4 and minus 4. So by result, the vertical asymptote will be 1. Now you have to get the slant. Since the degree of x in the numerator is the same as the degree of x in the denominator, though there will be no slant. Now you have to tabulate to graph the points. The points we graph are minus 2, minus 1, 0, 2, 3, and 4. Since each one of these points will give us an approximation of how the graph is. To tabulate, the points should be substituted instead of the variables in the problem. Now plot the points in the graph and draw lines surpassing the points respecting the asymptotes.
In the problem 4, you're saying 4 divided by 3, e by x plus 4 minus 2. The value of e is 2.71828, so e is a constant. We need to replace by numbers x and tabulate. Like here, minus 2 is 4 divided by 3 e to the square. And like here also minus 1, that is 4 divided by 3 e to the third power. And also minus 2 in the operation is the horizontal asymptote of the graph. And here we have the graph with all the points planted. Here in problem 5, we're going to use the laws of logarithm. In the first one, we are going to use the logarithm of a product that is multiplying m times n. In A, we're going to multiply it 3 times 4, that is 12. In problem B, we're going to use the logarithm of a quotient, that is m divided by n. Here in B, we're going to divide 5, and we need to search for the other, that is giving us in the result, that is 9. In C, we're going to do 2 by minus 2, that is 1/4.